You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV Saturday Night Live After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's SNL After Show.
Woo. Bing is for doing, and we're here doing another AfterBuzz TV After Show for Saturday Night Live.
Yes, we are.
Yes, this week recapping the Lindsay Lohan
Lilo.
and Lilo in the house, and Jack White.
Yeah,
we
the whitest man on the planet.
The whitest man on the planet. Yeah, beautiful.
He lives up to his name.
I think you're 100% right. With me, as always, is the beautiful Graham High.
You're making me blush.
Oh, yes. And I am Matthew Kyle, by the by.
Yeah.
Filling in today for one Mario Hernandez, who's not with us.
We miss you, Mario.
Yes, he's in Texas somewhere, looking on.
Yeah, he's
probably
meeting
with
some
fond eyes.
family, having some good times.
But, you know, he's dead to us since he's not here.
Yeah.
So how are you doing, Graham?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You doing well?
I had a case of the Sunday blues earlier today, but then, you know, I had a rock star, and then I was gone. I was good to go.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, how about you?
I am doing well as well. I was a little under the weather earlier this week, but coming out of it and happy to be alive.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that's good about being sick. Like, when you're sick, you're like, I'm never going to forget what it's like to be healthy
Right.
again. And you're coming back, I'm like, I feel great. This is what it feels to be normal.
That's right.
But yeah, you got to hold on to that as long as you can.
I think so. And speaking of feeling better, it's probably Lindsay Lohan coming back. Obviously, this is kind of her big launch, I guess you could say, back into the foyer of the acting community after a myriad of problems I guess we don't have to detail on this program.
And I heard her face looked really Botoxy and all that goodness. I didn't get to see the episode yet, but I want to.
You know what? Well,
She looks like a very hot 45-year-old woman.
I think,
Like, she's a cougar, and she's younger than I am.
and I think she's 25.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That's too bad. There was, there was some lip plumping, if I can say that.
Yeah.
I'll be nice about it, but I think that's.
And she also has she's always had that smoky voice, but it is now like a carton of cigarettes a day smoky.
She's like,
Hey, it's a thing you call Saturday Night Live. It's not quite sexy. It's just like, can you just clear your throat or get some lozenges?
she's like old Lucille Ball. She's like, oh my god.
yeah, exactly.
Catherine Hepburn, like, this chick is whack. But
Yeah.
overall impressions of one Lilo?
She was pretty bad. I mean, dude, she's this is her 4th time doing it. 4 times.
Did you like the other time she was on? Though?
No, but I mean,
You never liked any of the other ones. She was in the first Debbie Downer, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
That was a really funny one where they all broke up. They were at the Disneyland episode. I think that was 2004. That was very popular.
I mean, she's had her moments. I liked her Hermione thing where she was like, she came back from summer and Hermione has boobs and
Right,
everyone's
with the
like,
full cleavage.
Yeah.
Apprendi and Madison. Yes.
But that wasn't her. It was her boobs doing most of the work in that one. I mean, that's part of the reason why I liked it. But yeah, for a 4th timer, you got to have your stuff down. You got to feel comfortable. And I know she's had her past that she's had to deal with, but you got to hit it. You can't come out like, pity me a little bit. Just give me a little bit of pity.
But didn't you felt like that's kind of how they started? I felt like that's a little bit what they put into her monologue was a little bit like, hey, we're going to play. You obviously knew what they were going to do. They were going to make some jokes about her, rehab and, criminal history.
They got to. You can't ignore it.
Totally, and it's meant to do. That's the platform when you're a star like that, like an Alec Baldwin when he had the issue with the airline. He goes on to Weekend Update and he's going to make fun of it. It's a perfect platform to help rehabilitate your appearance to, the mass audience.
Yeah.
But do you think they were doing her a little bit too much of a service? Just because there was a little pandering, I want to say.
Pandering, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, it's like, the kid that breaks his leg junior year of high school and he can't play any more football.
Right.
And he comes back senior year for like one game when they're obviously going to win, and they just throw them a ball, and the other team just lets them score a touchdown kind of thing. Like, yay, good for you, you're back, but, you know, okay, now your time's done. It wasn't a comeback. It was more like, you know, we don't hate you. We've made so much fun of you. This is my theory about this show, that a group of guys, because there was a lot of craziness that went on just here and there. I feel like Jason Sudeikis and Bill Hader didn't like it because it is her 4th time doing it, and she didn't bring anything to the table. They had this weird anarchy to them where, like, we'll talk about it later, but like when Jason Sudeikis like just jumps onto the desk and almost knocks it over, it feels like they were both like, this sucks. So let's just be stupid.
Yeah, and I really feel it. And one thing I would never have criticized Lindsay Lohan for ever is I always thought she was a fine actress. I thought she had a lot of ability, a lot of talent. When I saw her on that show before, I don't think that's completely in her wheelhouse like a Melissa McCarthy, of course, so I don't think she's going to blow the roof off the place, but more than adequate, you know. And
she gets the job done generally,
Yeah, and there was, you know, times where she was not getting the job done at all, or it seemed like she didn't know she was on tape yet. You know, there was a little bit of a dress rehearsal quality to it.
Yeah, she was, this one's not the real one, right? And they're like, yeah, whatever, just go.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a little surprising to me. I mean, I was a little taken aback. So, I mean, I think your overall impression is horrible.
Yeah, horrible. Yeah. I mean, you seemed a little bit more supportive, like you want to be there.
Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe I have a sweet spot for addicts or something. I don't know. I watch Celebrity Rehab, so.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Oh.
Hey, that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to like her, and I find her. I've seen Mean Girls.
She doesn't even look the same though.
She doesn't.
I mean, that is startling. The appearance difference is remarkable. I mean, the blonde hair is one thing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You know, it's always, oh, but she's a fine actress. You know, is she, like, I want to know, is she still a fine actress? I mean, do we give her
I don't
credit?
know.
Oh, because I always hear people say, but you know what? At the end of the day, she's a fine actress. You know?
Right. It's, you know, I mean, I think the prime.
Are we just giving her points? You know, like.
I think at this point maybe it was just because on that show it's not terribly acting heavy, but there's going to be acting elements of it, and she looked lost at times, which shocked me. And you do fall back on that. There's the Robert Downey Jr.'s and the Mickey Rourke's and those people who are, you're like, geez, if only they could get their personal life because their professional work is so solid and so on point. But, and I never thought she was in that kind of caliber of acting, but she was.
Well, she's really charming. When she has a role that fits her.
Yeah.
I saw some Freaky Friday. She was good. I watched The Parent Trap when I was a kid. She was a couple years younger than me. And I enjoyed it when I was a kid. But, I mean, she's popped up here and there. She had that movie where she was a stripper. I didn't see that, unfortunately.
I Know Who Killed Me.
I Know Who Killed... Okay, yeah.
I've seen a scene or two.
I saw... Okay. Internet. You're on it. I know you got two windows right now. If you're listening or watching, you got us going and Lindsay Lohan's.
That's right. Yeah.
I also saw
and
her
of course
Machete.
they're binging it too. They're on Bing. Of course,
Bing,
we know this.
If you're looking at just use
it's trending now. We'll say that it's trending.
But I mean, yeah, I saw her in Machete. She was not good in Machete, and I don't like to hate all the time, but Kenny Powers, or Danny McBride, on his Twitter back when it was announced she was going to host, said, she's done this 4 times, and Aziz Ansari, this is who he's champion, hasn't been asked to do it yet. And I'm like, dude, and Aziz Ansari is a funny dude. He's been doing comedy for years.
Yeah.
And why aren't they tapping on more of these kind of people? Why aren't they getting...
Yeah, so I see your point. People who would perform as opposed to people who will get people to watch.
Yeah, exactly. But Aziz, I mean, he's on Parks and Rec. I mean, he's in some movies. I mean,
yeah, he's a known entity, certainly.
Yeah, you're just doing it for the tabloids. You're getting all the young people just to bring in more young people. I don't know.
Maybe it's a thing to lure the casual fan base. You know, maybe there's a lot of interconnections there. I don't know, but I think you have a fair point. I think we should put that out. Let's get him on.
Well, I mean, they had John Hamm as the backup host. That was a joke in the monologue.
Which was great. Yeah.
Get John Hamm. Like, he popped up here once or twice. Like, everybody loves John Hamm.
Well, and he was host. He did host last year.
Yeah.
And he had that great bit with the ham toilet paper, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah.
Those kind of guys, like, where they're... Or girls, gals, where they actually have a work ethic and they're just not tabloid fodder. Are they going to have Snooki, actual Snooki come on just because people want to see if she fails, which she probably will.
Right.
But just to see, people like to see people fail. But Saturday Night Live is more than just, watching people screw up.
I think it's an entity of watching people succeed at comedy. I hope that's what it is, And I thought she could do more.
Yeah.
I don't know if she did horrible because some of the material, she was a secondary character. They weren't giving her a lot of stuff to do, but I want to agree with you, Graham. I want to agree with you. I guess that's the verdict.
Well, okay, before we get too negative, I think we both agreed, and I think most of the buzz was about the Disney, Real Housewives of Disney.
Right. Which, the pre-tape segment. Yeah, which is right after the opening monologue, which was great. The Real Housewives of Disney, yeah. They did a fantastic job putting that together. Obviously, the highlight of pretty much any skit they do is one Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, Cinderella, I'm a mess. Yeah,
yes, exactly. And such a great contrast. I felt like the only thing that bit was lacking was all other 4 characters were the same, and they weren't really going at each other. And then Kristen Wiig comes on, and is just a drunk, belligerent Cinderella, and a floozy.
Yeah. What is your favorite Disney princess?
My favorite Disney princess? Jeez, now we're getting personal.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I think it's got to be Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, she's classy.
Yeah. 2 Oz within the first 10 minutes of this show. I think we're really hitting the comedy stride.
Yeah, we got vulnerability.
Yeah, but beautiful gal. And
I would say Esmeralda. I like the gypsies. I like the
Esmeralda.
Yeah, she was from Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah. That's the only role she did, and then she kind of fell off.
She really did fall. I think she was too skanky for the majority.
Right. Let's get Esmeralda on Saturday Night Live hosting. I'm going to put that out there.
They have to act according to a tennis ball, and then they just kind of CG on. Yeah, man, I'd watch that.
Exactly. You know what? I've never thought about that, but I'm surprised they haven't done that at some point. Get Bugs Bunny on there hosting it, or at least do you remember like when they do the Oscars and they had like the interplay?
Yeah.
Do something like that.
There was like one, was it the Oscars? I remember Brian and Stewie from Family Guy presented an award, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah,
but... And they used to have the Beavis and Butthead stuff and all that. But Real Housewives of Disney, I think, was the stand. Was that your favorite piece?
I think so. That was most solid. And, being pre-taped kind of takes it away from that charm of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
But it seems lately that's where they're doing better overall.
I agree with you. Segments. I totally agree with you. I think, 2 weeks ago on that episode, the kind of standout was that Clint Eastwood runner.
Yeah,
there is a lot of pre-taped stuff that is actually working for them. And obviously it serves their premise because they're, mocking, doing a parody of Real Housewives. And their shot compilation was very similar to an actual episode.
Yeah, even just like where Jasmine is talking about how she had sex with Iago. Yeah. I liked how it was shut down from the stairs, like the camera crew was like kind of just peeking in on that.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
That's right out of it. That's a really specific choice.
Yeah, and I think that adds to the charm of the bit, when they're actually, trying to get that technical with the parody. But I think my favorite line of it was when Belle was fighting. I can't remember the other princess she was fighting, but when she was arguing with her, and she said, "He's not a beast, he's Kelsey Grammer."
Speaking of Hollywood, get Kelsey Grammer to play the Beast in a Beauty and the Beast remake.
Like, we have so many good ideas here.
We're just shooting them out here. Just send us
Thank God this is being taped and recorded for posterity because if you're listening, Jerry Bruckheimer, I'm saving you millions and millions of dollars in research and development. So and Graham as well. Yeah, so
this is the think tank. That's really what it is.
This is pretty much what it is.
AfterBuzz think tank.
The AfterBuzz think tank. I like that. We need to get a sound effect for that, like a bloop bloop.
Yeah, can you work on that for us, Ronnie?
Please do.
Think tank. Yeah, he's like, I'm on it.
Can we get a full-time Foley guy? Is that inappropriate? I think that's something we need here. But one of my favorite bits, I guess, for live action would be the delinquent teen. What was it? Delinquent girl teen gang. That was I really wanted to enjoy it. It was almost there for me, but I thought it was a solid piece nonetheless. Fred Armisen.
Are you a big fan of those kind of 50s rebel teen movies, or where is the appreciation coming from?
The appreciation was, I think I'm a big fan of repeating joke bits.
Okay.
And right when it started and Fred Armisen goes out into the street, timing was a little off. I wish they would have sped it up because it was like, okay, we know what's happening. We know what's happening. We know what's happening. You're 5 seconds late. But when he gets hit by the car, I thought it was going to be a one-off. So I thought he died, and then he'd be like, oh, we still need to rebel, and then another person would die, another person died. and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
but the fact that he just kept getting hit really made it
just
for me.
wander off on the street every single time.
Exactly. And then a great bit of acting, too, where he was playing it really real, you know, after he was getting hurt and being like, I
wrote down, maybe we should call it a night. Like after the first time, because he goes so big, like, woo, you won't say this. Right. Listen, maybe we should just call it a night. And he always had more smears of grease on his face.
And the hair getting tossed around, and then having to smoke a cigarette on the park bench while shaking. It was those kind of takes that I think, you know, those are obviously the high performance aspects that I kind of expect from him, but that really made it for me. But did you feel strongly about that as well?
I mean, that was one of those where I wanted to like it. I really wanted to, and I like those kind of parodies because I haven't seen tons of those 50s, but you know, someone like Grease or Rebel Without a Cause, like I like a good genre parody. And it seemed like a lot of those, like, yeah, let's just blast our music, we're gonna rebel 50s style and smoke cigarettes.
Right. Well, I think, and if I'm thinking back correctly, 2 weeks ago on that episode, you were a big fan of the noir with the fast talkers.
Yeah.
With Zooey Deschanel.
You know, I would like to touch on that. For me, I never got to pick up on the fast talkers. It's a little bit of digression. But for me, that felt like a comment on her acting because all the fast talkers knew their lines. And she had the normal people lines, but she was the one reading off the cue cards. Right.
Well, yes. Well, hold that thought, because compared to this episode of the cue card reading, that looked like Shakespeare.
Exactly.
Writing Shakespeare.
Zoe did a great job. She was, but
she did. But the cue card reading is something that I'm surprised about sometimes, how heavy they are.
Of course, the worst one, I think we both agree, the worst cue card reading this one was the Scared Straight. I think for me, was where she's playing herself.
And that was alarming, and you know, I think we should just get right into that one because this needs to be said. It was so bizarre. I mean, I know I'm sure you felt the same way. That she seemed disconnected. It was almost like she had never done it before or something.
Yeah, like, even when she was reading the plots of her own.
Yeah, Herbie Fully Loaded. It's the movie she's in, you know, if you could remember the synopsis to a movie you were in 10 years ago.
Yeah, they chose like the worst angle for that too, because it was right over the shoulder and you could just see her not looking at Andy Samberg and reading the cue card, and she's stuttering.
Right. Horribly.
Yeah.
But then not only that, I thought her physicality and just her demeanor in that whole scene. She's playing Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, the big badass Lindsay Lohan from prison.
I'm jail Lindsay Lohan, you know, and I'm not expecting her to play it like Shawshank Redemption or something like that. I'm expecting her just to at least commit to character.
Yeah,
and she just seemed like she was looking at the cue cards the whole time. I remember when they leaned over and they started punching Bill Hader, you know, at the end, you know, and he was like, "What are you doing?" shaking him, and she came over and she's like, and then backed up and like put her hands, and I was like, I mean, this is a trained actress who's been acting since the womb nearly, and that's the kind of performance.
Yeah, I feel like maybe in the writer's room, like, okay, we got to deal with her being in prison. How are we going to do it? And they're like, well, we got this Scared Straight skit that we keep on bringing. And I've never been really a big fan. I kind of like some of the ideas.
Right, but I thought that mix of it, of actually having her, that was a huge joke. That was the first big joke in it. You know, where she's like, and I'm Lindsay Lohan. And you're like, oh, great. I thought they were going to play on that more.
Yeah.
They didn't. There was so much more. I was really looking forward to that. And as it kind of unraveled, but.
It did. There were some funny one-liners in there, but even her own one-liners was just like
the timing was all off, you know. It was again, it was a lot of a cue card issue, a lot of performance issue. It was just nothing was connecting in that piece, unfortunately.
No,
and then obviously, I mean, we call it back to earlier when we mentioned the funniest part of it at the end was, like you're saying, the anarchist right there jumping on the table.
Yeah, just like whatever, this gets done. Whatever, it didn't go anywhere. Like, she was terrible. Like, I feel like that was the attitude. Just like, we live here in this house, we let a guest in, and now the guest is left. What was that about? But I did like switch butts with Jenna Jameson lines. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, and then again, that is lately, and I think about the past 3 episodes, I want to say, they've had a lot of stand-up material-driven bits where it's just like, we're going to just hammer kind of one-liner jokes at you.
Yeah.
Which is kind of foreign and not really respected in the traditional sense of sketch comedy. Because you're supposed to, you know, at least keep those mutually exclusive more or less, because it's supposed to be a character-driven thing as opposed to a punchline-driven thing. But I mean, at least for the most part, the jokes they write are solid, because that was a great joke. And they had a couple other ones in there I really liked. And of hers, if she sold them,
yeah, it would have worked better.
I'm getting upset.
Well, it's like, yeah, I mean, if you just have a character that serves as a one-liner conduit, make it a big. But I just don't like it either. I mean, even the scared straight things, like, okay, I know this is gonna happen. Like, he's gonna rough him up and like say some jokes about sodomy in prison.
Yeah.
And and then I'm like, okay, at least there was a couple ones that were funny. But that's, like I said, it's character stuff, like you mentioned. Bring us the good characters that we like to see, rather than just the characters that are there to say ridiculous stuff, the one-liners, the stand-up stuff.
Exactly. And it just surprised me that those are the lead characters. They're not even the side characters, or just a walk across or something like that, and somebody says something. It's like these, just driving home jokes, and I don't know. I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about that? It's just not for me.
No. I mean, they have had that trend. I mentioned before, like, they have that format where they just have this open-ended thing where each actor just chooses a character and they just act out. They didn't have one of them this week, I believe. But usually they have, like, oh, here's a mix CD, and then every actor has their
and
own.
everybody just throws something in. Or they'll do the myriad of impressions or something like they did with the Beyonce bit.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
And, that's fun, but it's not quite why people like Saturday Night Live. It's more like the characters that... Like, when the scared straight guy comes out, I'm not like, oh, yeah, it's him. I get to hear some more butt jokes.
Right. No, and I think it was Robert Smigel, because I'm going to quote things now. Robert Smigel once said, who is the creator of Triumph the Comic Dog with Conan, but also a long-term writer on that show. And he mentioned how you do characters on that show because they do the heavy lifting. That way you don't have to think so hard being clever and writing jokes. If you have a great character, you just be real, and you be real into that character, and it's even funnier than a great punchline or something. And maybe that's what they're lacking, and that's tough. She's not a comedian. They're giving her a lot of one-liners,
Yeah, exactly.
Some commitment would have helped, huh? But, oh, Lord. But my other bit that I enjoyed, which, they came back to it right away, which I thought that was equally as funny as the first one, which was the weird guy by the fire.
Yeah. That was one of the, that was another anarchist moment for me. Like, when he turned away and just started prodding the fire.
Right.
And he was just milking it as long as he could.
Totally. I thought they were going to stick with it for a minute. I thought it was like, here we go, Andy Kaufman. Like, that's totally what I was thinking. But what a fun bit. I mean, just do something different, you know? And a lot of the things, another stand-up material that I think you felt better about it than I did was Rude Buddha with Andy Samberg. I'm not a big Andy Samberg fan in general.
Yeah.
So if you are, I could see. I know you love Hot Rod.
Yeah,
we all know you love Hot Rod.
Yeah, I will not stop it. Hot Rod and MacGruber. Those are two of my favorites.
MacGruber, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, no, and I think
it's funny to think of Kristen Wiig and MacGruber, and then she's nominated for all these awards. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, she's great. I won't stop. We could just have a whole AfterBuzz just talking about how much we love Kristen Wiig because she is the best.
I think when I was watching it last night, the episode, I was thinking again, if we could get 3 more Kristen Wiig caliber people working there.
Yeah, the girls are really good. They're not as much of a utility player yet, as far as, like, she'll just do anything and make anything really pop. As far as the Rude Buddha, I did like it as much as I like the idea, the concept. I mean, it's really simple, Guy that's supposed to be good is bad. But I just finished reading that book, Siddhartha.
We are so smart here.
Yeah,
I'm quoting Robert Smigel. You're reading Siddhartha.
Yeah, well, I mean, I should. Most of my friends read in high school, but I was like, yeah. So I like philosophy and that kind of thing, and they actually had some pretty good philosophy in there, and then they flipped the coin around. But yeah, it didn't quite hit where I wanted it to go. Like, it could have gone further than just Rude Buddha. This is exactly what Rude Buddha is. But I did like the line, like, we'll reach enlightenment, and he was like, I'm definitely going to get there. But that's like the first joke you kind of do. Like, yeah, let's kind of take Rude Buddha to the next level. Like, what is Rude Buddha really going to do?
Yeah, and to me, Rude Buddha was more of an insult comic who is giving advice from the Dao De Ching every other line. It there just wasn't much of a connection, I think that's something else, too. Like, you got to... It's a great little starting bit. I agree. I like the premise. Let's push it a little farther. Let's, put it on its side. Maybe do some things. I mean, obviously it's a short writing schedule and things get jammed and you don't know what else they were working on and stuff like that. But what about changing it around so the sarcastic guy is giving the Buddha advice, and then vice versa. You know, just flip it around. It's just a little different there, and I don't know. I think that's one of my complaints with Andy Samberg is he always oversells a joke. Every joke he's gonna go, hey, and it's just it's a lot of clowning.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
you know? And that's kind of just where I missed the boat with him, just because I think as farther you go on in comedy, like there's a Steve Carell or something like that, where maybe you start like that in the beginning of your comedy career, but it just gets more and more real. You know, it's like a Steve Martin, I think, is a prime example of that. You start out with the over-the-top, arrow through the head thing, you know, Two Wild and Crazy Guys, really stuff like that. And then what kind of comedy does he do now? Very dry, very subtle, very real, and hopefully he gets there. But that's kind of my thing.
Since we mentioned Steve Martin, I'll point this out. I thought it was pretty funny. There was this 2-shot picture of pictures of the Oscars.
Right.
Gwyneth Paltrow posted a twit-picked, picture of her and Steve Martin.
Okay.
And the caption was, "I love my life, man," something like that.
Right.
And then right underneath it was Steve Martin posting a very similar, if not the same picture, and it said, "I hate my life."
Are you serious?
And I was like, he's joking somewhere in there, but that just looks terrible. He's like, man, I got to pose with Gwyneth Paltrow or whatever.
Oh, man. The best would be if those were just mutually exclusive and they ended up just crossing over, as opposed to obviously he probably saw it and then made the joke. But.
Yeah. I mean, you could imagination. Yeah, he probably saw it, but if it just so happened. Well, you mentioned like Andy Samberg. I mean, the digital short is the first one. We haven't really talked about it too much, but I mean, the whole Afro thing, and it just pulls out, and then you got,
nothing.
Yeah, and then it's it's a invitation to, a wedding, save the date kind of thing.
Right.
And they've had a couple months to work on it, and I know they're trying to go that absurd way, but
we have not seen a digital short in months, like you're saying, and we pontificated on previous episodes if it was a thing where we were knowing the Lonely Island was working on a movie, their biggest movie yet, and stuff like that. So maybe they were sidetracked, but. Continue to be sidetracked if that's what you're going to bring to the table, because that was a huge disappointment.
I could barely even understand what they're saying.
Exactly, and it sounded like it was mostly just trying to be well written, and the joke was like, oh my god, oh, it's even bigger. I'm like, really? Just the big afro that they're sharing? What's?
Yeah, that was it. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I don't even.
That was it.
It's sometimes when you pitch things like, I'm going to pitch that to you right now.
Okay.
Okay. You're Lorne Michaels, sitting next to Paul Simon. Petting a cat. Mike Myers is waiting for you on the phone, so you only have 10 seconds. And I'm like, hey, Lauren, it's Andy. So I have this really great idea. What I'm going to do is we're going to write a song, and it's going to be a really cool, like, kitsch 70s song. But what we're going to do is it's me and Kristen Wiig, and we're going to be sharing one afro. But the camera's going to keep panning back, and as it pans back, you just see the afro. It's going to be, like, 4 stories tall. What do you think?
You have a budget of $10,000. How much did that cost? I don't know.
I felt like it cost, like, $20,000.
Yeah.
But at least some people got paid.
Thanks for boosting the economy, digital shorts.
Yeah. On a lighter, more uneven note, another one that almost worked for me, but then fell short was Psychic Awards. I thought that was an interesting premise. The 2012 Psychic Awards, obviously there was a little bit of on the head. You're like, Psychic Awards, okay, they're gonna know who won.
They got all the takes were pretty funny where they're like, they don't even have to announce it.
Right, and they're like,
and then, he doesn't know which way to go, kind of thing. And like, these are standard ones. I think my favorite was the montage. I wasn't expecting that. Whereas like people who haven't died yet, but they are going to die. In memoriam section of all the psychics who are now realizing they're going to die from the memoriam video. Yeah, and what was that? Jay Farrow's like only appearance. That was. I was going to mention that there was a lot of people who had a lot of one-offs. Fred Armisen hasn't been doing a lot. Lately. Again, we were wondering if it was a Portlandia connection there, but he was in one thing. There's a lot of people who were kind of MIA. Taron Killam had his one bit, which was the radio thing. Oh the radio thing. Yeah. It seemed like they kind of, they did relegate a lot of the cast to, I don't know. Abby Elliott did next to nothing. I can think of that one on the top. That's right, yeah. A lot of people, a lot of no-shows, Maybe they didn't like Lilo. They're like, I'm okay. I like this whole anarchist thing that you're working, that it's all the politics behind the scene that's affecting the show. I try to read into it, try to figure, maybe I read too deeply into it. But, these people, some of them are more successful than the people coming onto the show, and they're older and they're more established.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Hader has got some movie parts. He also writes for South Park. I mean, he's been doing stuff. He hasn't quite hit it huge, but he's established. Jason Sudeikis, Kristen Wiig, of course. Yeah, she's almost. I was surprised she came back this year. I was like, she's kind of getting that point where it's kind of too big. I think it's cool that she sticks around, but she's in that Will Ferrell last year category most definitely now, where it's just like, well. Yeah, she definitely seems to be following the Will Ferrell track, which is good for her. You know, you kind of keep relevant. She doesn't have too much behind her now. I mean, Bridesmaids is huge, of course, but I think she's trying to. She has a movie coming out with John Hamm again. It's John Hamm's wife. Was the John Hamm connection. I mean, it was cool that he showed up, but what is it called? We don't know. Married with children kind of thing. It doesn't matter. See, we create the movies, people. We do not know the names. That's for those people. We're the R&D. Yeah, they're making the movie right now just because we talked about it. Like, exactly. I can hear the production and lighting crew scrambling. The best boys are running now. Now there was another thing that I found interesting about the episode. And interesting, I mean not in a good way. Oh. Which was the repeat commercials. Yeah, that's right. And from time to time, we know that they do repeat commercials. You'll see things repeated. It's usually when they're really successful. They choose two commercials that I never felt strongly about. I mean, I like Chantix, okay, but yeah, I did. My favorite commercial so far is the Red Flag commercial. Red Flag was great, yeah, and they've played that one twice. But Chantix was all right, but the Verizon one we talked about not too long ago, it's just like, Well, I think the problem with the Verizon one is they're making fun of 4G technology, like it's so confusing, and he keeps going, well, is it faster? Well, it's like, yeah, everybody knows that. That's why it's called 4G and not 2G. Yeah. Like, I don't see, I mean, maybe. I think they're trying to make fun of the jargon, like you have the droid, blah, 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 and then you have the 4G LTE, 3G, foot stamp, and all the nonsense that you hear. Right, but that's just one of the things. It's like, I don't feel like there's a phone community and people really care. Everybody has one phone and you're over it. Yeah. You know, I don't feel like everybody's like, oh, what kind of phone do you have? Oh, that's the Droid Razr Technon 4T Den. I've never felt that way, you know? Maybe I'm just not as much of a hipster as I thought, but I just don't do it. So, I mean, and it's really well played and it's well done, but I think the premise is just lacking there. But again, they decide to roll with it. Back, and the Chantix, that one misses me a little bit just because it's been done. Yeah. You know, I've seen it. I think they did it well, but right when they start in with the symptoms, you're like, okay. They did something a little bit different with it, but I've seen that 20 times probably. It's not a new joke. I mean, it's a pretty solid take on an old joke. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, it's definitely not bring it back, especially two repeats within one at the very end. It seems like they cut a couple skits. Once again, I'm reading into the politics. Maybe Lilo wasn't feeling it. Because, I mean, like what? Well, nothing came out. I mean, did you hear anything on the, I mean, because obviously Graham is very connected. He knows a lot of women too. Yeah, and, no, I do. So with one of your 3 Tuesday night dates, did somebody spill any beans like she wasn't showing up on time, or? Who? Like Lilo? Or? Yeah, Lilo. Oh yeah. Well, no, your date obviously showed up time. Oh, all your dates are 15 minutes early because you have to sign in. Yeah. So they show up. They come at the right time. Okay. Sorry. I don't know. I haven't heard much. I think most people were disappointed with it, with the episode, from what I've garnered from the internet. The internet, yes. The internet, they tell me that. I haven't really spoken with, in real life, you're the first person I've spoken to in real life today that's actually seen the episode. So, I don't know. Let me comment on this then, because on one of the things I read on the internet, they said, Lindsay Lohan, ? Worst host of the year? ? Yeah. So I'd like to know your thoughts on that. Do you really think she's the worst host of the year? I think 2012. Yeah. 2012. Yeah. Really? Well, I mean, we've only had a couple hosts so far, and I think. Oh, of 2012. I was thinking of this season. So I was gonna go back to September. Oh. 2012. Yes, I would agree with you on that. Anything standing out to you? Yeah, I can't think of anyone who did a worse job. Like brought less to the table. I mean, at least like Daniel Radcliffe wasn't that great, but he tried. And, yeah, I would give him definitely a pass. I was trying to think of one. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else who. I thought Jason Segal's episode was fun.
You have Charlie Day. I thought his episode, which was the repeat they showed last week.
And Charles Barkley. I mean, I was not looking forward to Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
And it was a lot better.
Again, politics.
Yeah,
politics.
man.
We've gone over why Charles Barkley showed up. It's the networking politics.
Yeah. Well, you know who was great? Jack White.
Jack White, ladies and gentlemen.
There. He was good, man. He put on the show. He's a musician.
He makes me want to do a Jack White impression and then stick to that impression and leave the house for the rest of my life as Jack White, too. Remember there was a Gallagher, too? I want to be Jack White, too.
Whoa. There was a Gallagher, too?
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, so Gallagher had a brother. The Gallagher, the comedian, if nobody knows what we're talking about. He used to smash watermelons.
Yeah, he's
there was
a
Gallagher,
joke now.
too, which was his brother, I believe, who looked very similar. And he would license his material to him, let him travel around as Gallagher under the Gallagher name. People didn't really know, so he was doing a lot of spots. Well, apparently he said, I don't want you to do it anymore. Long story short, they ended up getting in a legal battle. He ended up suing him, and that's how it came out Gallagher, too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's family stuff, man.
Yeah.
Man. And Gallagher was never really that funny in the first place. He's like, thank you for taking the bad jokes out there for me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? If you
blues.
have the balls to smash watermelons and have people pay you to do it,
Yeah.
more power to you, Gallagher.
Yeah.
More power to you. That's how I feel. But more importantly, the person who's really smashing it is Jack White. Mr. Jack White. Doing a fabulous job.
No, he's a cool musician. I used to be of the persuasion where I didn't want to like the White Stripes. I don't know why. I just was like, I don't want to like these guys. Like they make cool music. But I've come around since then. And Jack White is prolific. Like he just cranks it out all the time. And I'm a big fan of the Black Keys too. I think for me, some of my favorite performances this year have been Florence and the Machine, Black Keys, and Jack White. And that's definitely more of my flavor.
And Carmen.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, no hate on Carmen. She did a good job.
No hate on Carmen.
But we've had, like, the Lana Del Rey thing was a little, contested, a little controversial, and definitely sleigh bells last time. They're not bringing... Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's an actual musician who's writing music that means something to him, and he's doing some cool stuff, like with the boy band and the girl band.
Yeah, the first song, which I think is called Love Interrupted, which is a beautiful song. He had the all-female quartet in the background, and then for the next song, an all-male quartet.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. It's just an artistic thing. Obviously he's a singer-songwriter. They're not going to do a lot on stage. You're not going to have some backup dancers or a lot of light shows or anything like that,
Yeah.
Not a lot to look at. But he seems to know how to work it.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's working it.
With the niche he's working. He knows. And he's super talent,
Well, even the girl drummer, I don't want to get too bad, but, Meg White's, she's all right. She did good for the White Stripes, but everyone's always made fun of Meg White for not being a great drummer. That fit the sound.
It's like it was Lindsay Lohan drumming.
Yeah, but the girl that he had drumming
was great.
Well, she was killing it.
It was so weird. Yeah, I think I commented when I was watching it myself. I was like, oh my god, it's a Jack White song with a drum fill. I have never heard that combination.
Yeah, she even had some funky. I don't know the name of the styles where you hold the drumstick in your left hand, like.
I think it's called lefty.
Lefty, is that what it is? That's called. Yeah, she was doing the lefty.
She was doing the lefty.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. They had a giant upright bass, or is that what it is, with a bow? And I don't know. You had all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
You had the backup singer, and then the second song was definitely more rock and roll. And it seemed like they gave him some room to just like jam out, just
really start cutting. Yeah, and I thought it was cool, and especially in the first song where they had the backup singer, but she was like 2 steps up.
Yeah,
so she was. It was.
He wasn't trying to upstage or anything.
Yeah, I don't know what the musical term for that is. We'll call that lefty too. So when she was doing lefty there, as a half-featured artist on that song,
Well, I will point out, I looked it up. Blunderbuss is Jack White's solo album.
Okay.
It's coming out the 23rd or 24th of April. So look forward to that. If you like it, I mean, that's his first solo project. He's worked with, the Dead Weather. Is that the Dead Weather and the
Raconteurs. Didn't he have like a trio?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, he seems like he's always been, but this is his first solo
project. I always felt like White Stripes was solo. That's where I got off on the bus. But this is, Jack White, and it does have a different little bit of sound to it. I think it's a little more folk.
Yeah.
A little less that punk edge that he kind of had as an undercurrent. I think he's kind of moved from that. and now you have
that old school kind of blues.
Yeah, it's
style.
I like it. It's neo Tom Petty. That's what I'll call it as.
Okay.
I love Tom Petty.
Tom Petty's he's a good guy. I mean, I like Jack White more than Tom Petty, but I mean that's.
Well, what's your favorite Jack White song?
Man, I'm not sure. I mean, Seven Nation Army always gets me going, but I don't know. It's like what I feel like with them, these kind of bands like the Black Keys as well. There's a couple songs that are good that stand out, but they all kind of have that same kind of feel. So I'll rock out to whatever. I mean, even Raconteurs like Steady She Goes. Like I don't want to talk all this. Yeah, I mean, it's cool stuff where it just kind of comes on. And you're like, yeah, I'm ready for this right now.
I'm surprised because I'm sure you have a lot of the music, right?
On my iPhone right here.
Exactly. I was surprised you didn't go for a B-side there, Graham.
I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be all cool.
Oh, okay, because I was like, you went for all the A-sides. I thought you were gonna be like, I like his first demo tape from 1991 that he did at a corner in a bowling alley.
Yeah, I'm not like super music cool kid, and I'm one of those people that I'll listen to it, but I rarely know the names of the songs or any of that stuff. And I like singles that they play on the radio. I listen to a lot of the radio.
I agree too, and I respect that perspective.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to be too cool. I mean, I'm already cool enough as it is. I can't put myself.
I can't take your cool away from you. I cannot. I think we will take a little short break here, and then we're gonna come back with our predictions for next week's awesome episode. And
I like that.
Yeah, which is Jonah Hill.
Oscar nominee.
That's
every time we say his name, we gotta say Oscar nominee.
Oscar nominee. So we'll come back. We'll talk about Oscar nominee Jonah Hill.
AfterBuzz TV.
Hi, I was once like you, a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And, like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after-shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV.
AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about? And now, your AfterBuzz TV
To the future.
predictions.
Predictions. Oh.
This is Psychic Awards on AfterBuzz TV.
This is. I lost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. I just assume. I don't even need to look in the future. I just assume I lost. Anything, whatever it is.
That's beautiful.
Professional loser.
So, Jonah Hill and the musical guest, The Shins. Shins, which you're familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, another one of those where I enjoy their music. I know there's some big Shins fans out. Like, they're one of those bands that has a lot of people that love them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah.
So.
Like, they would be featured on the soundtrack of Garden State kind of thing. Like, like they're really cool. They got that, acoustic indie sound. I can't remember the leads dude, what his name is, but he kind of did a solo project for a while, and he's regrouped with a bunch of other band members from other indie bands, like Modest Mouse and that kind of.
So like a super group.
Yeah,
thing.
kind of like they kind of disbanded, but it's still the Shins because he's the main voice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I should get my indie cred going, but I don't want to pretend. Like he's a cool guy. He had a couple. They have a single out now. I can't remember, but it sounds good. It sounds like most of their other kind of stuff. Like it's melodic and sweet. I think it'll be a good show. They're good performers.
Yeah, and then what do you think of Oscar nominee Jonah Hill?
Yeah, he's a funny guy. I have a lot of jealousy because he's a couple months younger than me, like specifically like 3 months younger than me. And I remember when I first saw him, like just popping up, it was like right around 40-Year-Old Virgin, right when he was starting it. And I was like, this guy, he's a chubby, brown-haired guy. He's a smart. Like, I'm done.
He's got nothing. He's got nothing on your beautiful eyes. If you connect to that camera, you're gonna.
No, yeah.
You just broke 9,000 hearts.
Yeah, I know. Watch out.
3. That's a trifecta. I think that is the hat trick.
Yeah, we did 3 Oz. We're sensitive guys. When Mario leaves, we let the
we really let the tears come out. Yeah,
it's okay to cry.
Yeah, we should have done that whole opener about the Sarah McLachlan dog commercial, like we planned, but I guess we skipped over that. But.
Oh man, they play that on Comedy Central. Oh, that's it's going to be a good show.
It is. Week. I think we predicted a good show.
Yeah,
so
I think
we'll
it's
leave it
thumbs
at that.
up.
And I know you have many dates to get off to.
Yeah, I got their line.
And I have to go. So we will leave you at that. We will see you next week when we review the Oscar nominee episode with the Shins. So until then, we will catch you next time.
Cool. Thank you for listening.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.